So we continue with the beautiful Bala Leela of Krishna. Today we enter a very special, beautiful Leela called the Damodar Leela. Every episode in Bhagavatam, in the 10th Skandha, is ever increasing in its sweetness, and it's the cream of Bhagavatam, as we already said. 10th Skandha, Dashama Skandha is the cream of Bhagavatam. We have gone through so many beautiful stories of various Bhagavatas, various avatars, and come to Dashamaskandha, where it is pure nectar, just the nectar of pastimes. It's called Leela Amrita. And every Leela is increasing in its joy, in its love that it bestows, in the grace it bestows. So Damodar Leela is an especially beautiful pastime that's well known, and it's a very beautiful name of Krishna because of this Leela. So it is said that once Yashoda was churning butter as always, and that particular day, because there was some puja going on, Shukha Brahmam says all of the help in the house, they were all busy with various arrangements for the puja. And Yashoda was churning butter herself while milk was boiling. And at this time, it is said that Krishna comes, touches her and says, I'm hungry. And Yashoda is working hard, very beautifully described. She's working so hard that the jasmine flowers on her braid is falling down and she's got sweat. And despite all that, when she sees Krishna, immediately she drops everything and she takes him up and she gives him milk. But because there is no one else to help her that day, she's also remembering that the milk is boiling. So, very beautiful, simple village life in which all these wonderful pastimes happen. Because milk is boiling, in that moment, as any mother would do, she puts Krishna on the side instantly and runs to turn off the milk. And because of this, and Krishna was in the middle of getting his milk and didn't get it fully, so he gets apparently angry. He feigns anger, and his anger is also part of the same beautiful Leela. We saw how all the rasas come out in Krishna Leela, and this anger also has a divine purpose. So, with anger, he goes and he first breaks a pot of curd that is there in the room. Then he goes inside the room where all the butter is stored, just as we saw yesterday how Krishna steals butter from various houses along with his friends. In his own house, in Yashoda's kitchen or near the kitchen where the butter is stored, in her pantry or wherever it is, she goes into that room. And as always, the room is very dark. The butter is stored in a cool place and he is by himself. So Krishna just goes inside that room and he is putting a wooden mortar to climb up, because it's very tall. He is climbing up on a wooden mortar and reaches this butter that's hanging from the ceiling, and he gets access to it. And then he has no friends at that time, but he has a monkey as his companion. So he starts eating the butter and he starts feeding the butter to monkey as well. So Yashoda very simply comes back after taking care of the milk, getting it off the stove, and then she comes back to look for Krishna, and he's not there where he was. And then she sees the pot is broken and the curds are flowing down. So she realizes immediately that Krishna has done this mischief. First, she smiles to herself. After she smiles to herself, she goes looking for him, and sure enough, he is in the room where the butter is all stored, and he's not only eating butter, but he is feeding the monkeys the butter. So it is said that Yashoda very silently walks behind him. She has got a stick in her hand, with this small rod in her hand. She is walking behind, silently coming behind Krishna. And the moment Krishna realizes that Yashoda is behind her, he starts running. He is so afraid of his mother that he starts running. And Yashoda runs behind him, and because Krishna is so small and Yashoda is so tall, she is instantly able to catch him. And as soon as she catches him, she holds him and then she lifts her rod as if to chastise him. But of course, she would never do that. Then she says, Krishna, this is too much today. What you have done is completely unacceptable. So I am going to punish you. So what she says is, I am going to tie you with a rope to the same mortar by which you are trying to climb. So here Shukha Brahmam says beautifully, न च अंतर न बहिर्यस्य न पूर्वं नापि चापरं पूर्वापरं बहिश्चान्तर जगतो यो जगश्चयः. The one who has got no within or without. Na antar na bahiryasya. He has got neither within nor without. Na purva napi aparam. He has got neither before or after. Because as pure supreme being, he is beyond time and space. So neither time works nor space works in pure being. So he has got neither inside and outside can happen only when there is space. Before and after can happen only when there is time. So Shukha Brahmam says, he who is free of inside and outside, before and after, and in whom the whole universe is with all of time and space. All the before and after, all the outside and inside are all happening in him who is the very universe. He says, Tam matva atmajam avyaktam martyalingam adhokshajam gopika ulukale damna babanda prakritam yatha. Such a beautiful verse. He says that Krishna, who is avyaktam, the unmanifest Supreme Lord, adhokshajam, who is beyond all sense perceptions, considering him to be her own child, she is putting him with a dama. Damna means with the rope. Ana ulukala. Ulukala means the mortar. So this Gopika, Yashoda, she is so blessed. We already saw how Parikshit asked the unique blessing of Yashoda and Nanda, especially Yashoda, because of all these such sweet maternal love she was able to have with Krishna. So here it says such a beautiful verse. He says, Avyaktam Martyalingam Adhokshajam Gopika Ulukale Damna Babanda Prakritam Yata. The Supreme Lord, who is the unmanifest, who is beyond sense perception, who is beyond time, who is beyond space, in whom time is, in whom space is, who is the entire universe. Him who has taken this human form as a little baby, she is trying to tie him up with a rope as if he is a regular child. Prakritam yatha. And so she does this. But then when she does this, by this time all the workers, all the helps, all the other gopikas have all assembled to see this wonderful pastime happening. Krishna is crying. His eyes are red. His eyes are reddish and tears flowing out of fear. The one who makes the whole universe, it is said, Yama himself is afraid. We saw in the episode of Ajamila how Yama tells his attendants, do not even go near the devotees of Krishna. So the one of whom Yama himself is afraid, he is afraid of his mother, this sweet little Krishna, afraid of Gopika Yashoda. And so Gopika says, this mother Yashoda, that is, she says, I'm going to tie you up with this rope. So she takes a rope, gets this mortar, and then ties him up, trying to rather. And when she does so, Shukha Brahmam says, it is short by 2 inches. He says, Taddama badhyamanasya swarbakasya kritagasah dvai angulonam abhutena sandade yacha Gopika. This Gopika trying, this Yashoda trying to tie him up to dvai angulam, 2 inches it is short. So she says, okay, the rope is small. She takes a bigger rope. And then when she combines the 2 ropes, and then after she combines the 2 ropes, she tries to tie Krishna up. And when she tries to tie Krishna up with the combined longer rope, again it's 2 inches short. She says, what is this? Something wrong. Maybe my eyes are deluding me. She takes one more rope. and then one more rope, and then the other gopikas, they give more ropes. How many ever ropes she ties, it is always coming 2 inches short. And she is finally giving up. She looks at it, she puts her hand on her cheeks, and she says, "What is this? What mystery is this with Krishna?" All the other gopikas are all laughing at this great divine mystery. And then, when she is completely, Shuka Brahman says, she's bathed in sweat, she's exerted so much, all her flowers are falling down, she is looking so tired, and she has given up completely. And just in even in that giving up, she is only smiling with love for Krishna. All of the other friends of hers are all smiling. And at that moment, Krishna allows her to be bound, allows himself to be bound by her, allows her to bind him. He looks at her, and then she takes the rope, and then it is able to bind her. So it says here, thus Krishna demonstrates that he is amenable to the control of his devotees, and even though the whole universe is under his control and he is the supreme lord of the whole universe, love can conquer him, nothing else. So this very episode is very symbolic, because every time we make effort to reach the supreme, to realize the truth, it's always elusive. We can use our mind, we can use our intellect, we can use our reasoning, we can engage in any amount of mental exercises, we can engage in any amount of sadhana. All of that will prove elusive unless grace bestows itself. And that comes only when we recognize that the finite can never measure the infinite. The finite attempting to measure the infinite is what is signified by Yashoda trying to bind Krishna with a rope. It will always fall 2 inches short. It will seem like you can get it, and then some other question will come. And then we think we get this, another question will come. The questions are endless, which is what signifies the 2 inches. We are always short by a little. We can never grasp the truth fully. We think we can, but we will never do it. But the moment we recognize the inability of the mind of the apparent individual to grasp the infinite, and therefore simply surrenders, then the infinite reveals itself. It is like how it is said, when a salt doll goes into the ocean, it melts. But if we try to measure the ocean with any amount of measuring cup, it's impossible. But we can simply become the ocean if we go as a salt doll. So similarly here, Yashoda, after giving up her efforts to measure Krishna with the rope, when she gives up, Krishna allows her to be bound. So he says here, Shuka Brahman beautifully says, Evam sandarshita hyangam harina bhrityavashyata swavashanepi krishnena yasya idam seshwaram vashe. The one who cannot be controlled by anyone else, in whose control, in whose vasha the everything is, he is controlled by his devotees. He says, this Gopika, Yashoda, she got something that even Brahma doesn't get, even Sri Mahalakshmi cannot get. Mahalakshmi does only Padasevana of Bhagavan. Brahma only adores and worship. But here is Yashoda binding Krishna with a rope. And this is the power of love. Krishna simply remains bound by the rope, crying in his eyes and unable to move, as it were, because of the love of his mother. So he says, this Krishna, son of Yashoda, who is not accessible to anyone identified with their body, or even to anyone with any amount of wisdom, he is captured easily by devotion. He says, Nayam Sukhapo Bhagavan Dehinam Gopika Sutah Jnaninam cha Atma Bhutanam Yata Bhakti Matam Iha. Every verse in this chapter is so beautiful. He says, Gopika Sutaha, the name itself for Krishna is the son of the Gopika, son of Yashoda. The son of Yashoda, who is Bhagavan, he is inaccessible to Dehinam. The one who is attached to the body can never touch him. Jnaninam, one who has simple wisdom, not pure wisdom of supreme jnana, but jnana in the sense of just knowledge, they cannot access him. The one who are trying to realize the self through any amount of effort, they cannot access him. But Bhakti Matamiha, the one who is fully surrendered in devotion, in love, who recognizes that everything is Bhagavan, who does not try to separate himself from Bhagavan in any way and try to experience Bhagavan or understand, but recognizes that the very faculty of understanding, the very faculty of experiencing, all comes forth only from the one Supreme Being, and therefore not only offers everything that one owns, but one's own being, recognizing that the very sense of existence itself is Bhagavan. Every sense perception is coming from Bhagavan's energy. Every faculty of thought, intellect, everything comes forth from Bhagavan. When one recognizes all of this and therefore surrenders everything, including oneself, the very sense of I that rises as I am in the heart, when everything is seen as Bhagavan, and the unmanifest, which is beyond even the sense I am, is all there is, which brings forth everything in everyone. When this surrender happens, that is true bhakti, that is true jnana, and only then he is accessible. Otherwise, he is not accessible, and that's what Damodar Leela teaches us. But Damodar Leela is not complete yet, because there is a divine purpose for this Damodar Leela too, which we shall see, where there are two trees that are there, Arjuna trees in the backyard. So Yashoda ties him up to the mortar, and then she leaves, and then Krishna crawls to the two trees. There are two trees which are very close to each other. Krishna crawls, pulling the mortar with him, and in such a way that the mortar gets stuck between the two trees. And then Shukha Brahmam says, by bringing down the two trees, Krishna relieved the curse of two divine beings. So Shukha Brahmam just indicates this. And of course, Parikshit asks, what is that mystery now, that there are two divine beings, and who are they? Shukha Brahmam said they had a curse by Narada, by which they were stuck in trees, and they were liberated by Krishna. So we can see how every pastime of Krishna has both symbolism as well as a divine purpose. And so Shukha Brahmam tells Narada's curse caused these two divine beings to be stuck, and because of that, they were there in the tree. Krishna relieved them from the tree. And so Parikshit asks, of course, please tell me what happened. Why were those two beings cursed, and how were they liberated? So Krishna will explain, or rather, Shukha Brahmam will explain that in the next chapter, which we shall see tomorrow, which will be the continuation of Damodar Leela. So Damodar means, Dama means rope, as we already said. Udara means the stomach. So because he's got a rope around his stomach, he's called Damodar. And this name is so special, it comes in the 12 principal names as well, which is chanted every day by many. And it is a very beautiful Leela, which is celebrated especially in the month of Kartika, which comes in the fall when it is supposed to have happened. That's why Kartika Masa is also called Damodar Masa. And there is a beautiful work called Damodar Ashtakam, which celebrates this very pastime. There are 8 verses. This comes in Padma Purana. Padma Purana is another great Purana, which itself glorifies Bhagavatam as the Mahapurana. In fact, Bhagavata Mahatmyam comes in Padma Purana. And in that very same Padma Purana, there is this Damodar Ashtakam, 8 verses on this very Leela. So the first 4 verses cover the first portion which we just saw. We shall just quickly see those verses. Those verses are very beautiful. The first verse says, Namam Ishwaram Satchit Ananda Rupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashoda Biyo Uluka Ladhavamanam Paramrishtam Atyanta To Tritya Gopya. It says the Supreme Being, who is Satchit Ananda, who is running as it were, afraid of Yashoda trying to tie him with a mortar. I offer my obeisances to that Damodara. Rudantam muhurnetra yugmam mrijantam karambhoja yugmena satanka netram muhushwasa kampa tri rekanka kantha stitagraivam damodaram bhakti baddham. Says Krishna here is crying and rubbing his eyes with his lotus hands. His eyes are as it were filled with fear. He seems to be breathing quickly because of his fear, and his belly is still bound with ropes because of his mother's pure love. I offer my obeisances to this Damodara. Itidrik swalilabhir ananda kunde swaghosham nimajjantam akhyapayantam tadiyeshi tajneshu bhaktair jitatvam punah prema tastam shatavriti vande. Says here, such beautiful pastimes of Krishna is drowning everyone in love and revealing to the devotees the supreme majesty that can only be realized by love, he who is conquered only by pure love and not through any conceptual knowledge. To such Damodara I offer my obeisances. Fourth verse, it says, Varam Deva Moksham na Moksha Vadhim Va Chanyam Vraneham Vareshadapiha Idante Vapurnatha Gopala Balam Sadame Manasya Virastam Kimanyai. Though you can give all kinds of blessings and benedictions, I do not need anything including liberation. All I want is to ever have this form of Bala Gopala running in Vrindavan in my heart. These are the first four verses. The remaining four verses we shall see tomorrow along with the conclusion of Damodar Leela.